So when we go over to this island, when we finish the bridge, you look to the left and you will see a blue entrance. And at the blue entrance, at the top of the blue entrance, you have the crown. That means it indicates the royalty, the property of the royal family. The royal family was coming here hunting. You see here, when you see the people to the left, the blue entrance here with the two reindeers and the crown at the top. The king was coming in there. But then Queen Christina, a queen we had here during the 17th century, she gave it to people, this island, and she said, well, people, they need to put their creations, I mean, they have to come here. It's a park, open air museum. It is all these museums, and I was mentioned before, and the people, they can bring their children, their old people here. They can eat picnic and so on. So here I came this morning and the queue was up to here, up here. Now you are lucky, you see. It's more quiet here now. No line at all. Yeah, but they are in. In the morning they were up here. You see
This is the actual location in the sea where the warship Vasa sank to the seabed soon after it began its maiden voyage. From the end of 1961 to 1988, Vasa was housed in a temporary structure called Vasa Vat or the Vasa Shipyard, where she was treated with polyethylene glycol. Visitors could only view the ship from 2 levels, and the maximum distance was only 5 meters in 1981. The Swedish government decided that a permanent Vasa museum was to be constructed, and a competition for the design of the museum building was organized. A total of 384 architects sent in models of their ideas, and the final winners were Marine Lackback and Goran Monsoon, with as the construction of the new building began on and around the dry dock of the old naval yard, with an inauguration ceremony hosted by Prince Bertil on 2nd November 1987. Vasa was towed into the flooded dry dock under the new building in December 1988, and during the summer of 1989, when visitors were allowed into the construction site, 228,000 people visited the half-finished museum. The museum was officially opened on 15th June 1990. So far, Vasa has been seen by over 25 million people in 2008. The museum had a total of 11,43,404 visitors.
Okay, very welcome now to Vasa, which is a very special museum. And first, before I tell you the story, I will tell you this is the practical explanation. We came in, this museum is 6 floors. The most important floor is this 4th floor. We came in, behind us we have the entrance, and here we have the exit. You see the reception here, and then it is the toilets to the right, the restrooms, and then we go out that way. I will give you the time. So the 4th floor is the entrance and the exit. They were fighting and beating each other. And here Sweden is a Protestant country, and of course they are fighting by the side of the Germans. They have a lot of ships down there, about 70 military ships. You are behind me. But they wanted to create a ship like this because Sweden was a powerful military power, and they wanted to show who is the boss in the northern part of Europe, and so. So they had 70 ships down there. The king was somebody called Gustav II Adolf Vasa. That's why the ship got the name Vasa, because of the dynasty. So he gave order to cut down 1,300 oak trees, this is oak, and design a ship similar to that time that would be the ship of the ships. So he gave order as well to be with 3 decks and 32 cannons, they decided. So they had a lot of sculptures, as you see all this on 750 sculptures. They designed the ship with 3 decks, and the keel underneath was for 3 decks and 32 cannons. When they were constructing the ship, it took 2 years, and they were working more than 500 people outside here. They were the shipyards of the time. So they told the king, oh, it's becoming fantastic. Put another deck and put another deck, and the ship with the same keel underneath became with 5 decks and 64 cannons. So the ship became very high and heavy outside the water, very little and light in the water. And according to this philosopher Archimedes, poor philosopher, Greek philosopher, the ships, they have to have some balance in and outside the water. They were wondering, is it going to last? This is going to work? Yeah, they said. And no, the thing is that nobody was punished for that. It's a funny thing. Anyway, the day of the inauguration was 10th of August, 1628. They put the ship in the water in front of the palace where we passed now. And instead of having only 500 soldiers on, military, they were a lot of VIP, relatives, friends, to get a drink. It was the inauguration of her. So when they shot with the cannons, you see these holes, they were open, the cannons were out, and the ship trying to find the balance, very light underneath, and the people, the water rushed in from one side, the people screaming, they were running to the other side, they became panic, and then the panic was just to the ship to go on the other side, and it was after 40 minutes fighting with the waves in the harbor of Stockholm, where we were up in the hill now. They disappeared. It took about 40 minutes to go down. And then it was a catastrophe. Sweden, as a military country, a shame. The ship of the ships supposed to sink in the harbor.
How many people went down with it?
Well, they went down a lot of people went down. They were not so many because this was the Titanic of the time, 17th century. But because it was in the harbor, they couldn't swim out or they couldn't be helped. They believe that they were just lost their life, about 50 people. But when they found it, we will go down and see some of the skeletons. Now they found around 17 people, and they created some skeletons, not with all the rest of the human beings. But anyway, it's after three and a half centuries in the water. What do you expect? So when the boat went down, it was time for the war. They didn't have money and time to take the boat up. So they took some of the cannons because they needed them in the war, and they left, and the history, as usually, is covering everything. So 3.5 centuries later, in our days, some of us, maybe we have been born, you are younger, as I see, but anyway, 1959, this man whose picture is on the wall over there, he was a marine biologist, and he was looking for some boats here in the harbor of Stockholm. Suddenly, his hook brought up a little small piece of black wood. And then the experts, they said, this must be a very old ship. So let's go down, the divers, they sent the divers down to see what's going on. They couldn't believe in their eyes. The ship was on the side, the body of the ship, because all these masts and the things sticking out, they were destroyed, of course. You see now the original of this mast is only between these two ropes here, you see. The rest is another color, you see. And they reconstructed it, and they left by purpose in another color to see the original from the new one. So all of the things getting out, they were destroyed. But the body of the ship, 94% of the body of the ship was intact. Oh God, how they will take it out now without destroying, because they thought if we touch it like this, it will break now, and so many years in the water, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, they've done some studies. 3 years later, they managed to open holes underneath, put ropes, put 2 other boats on the sides, and glided it in the harbor here. And finally, they took it up. And in the 70s, then they washed it very good. And of course, they took different chemicals to protect and so on. They reconstruct things that they were destroyed. But 94% of the body of the ship was the original one. And they had it outside here in the 70s. And the people started to come, because such ships, you don't go anywhere in the world to see. And you wonder a little bit as a human being, 3.5 centuries in the water, taking out in these conditions, that must be really unique, and it is unique. So they had it outside here, and the experts, they told them, for 333 years the boat haven't been destroyed because of 3 reasons. The wood is very hard, his lifetime, and more, much more. The oxygen of the atmosphere couldn't find the wood and process it because it was covered by the mud of the Baltic Sea in the bottom. In 32 meters deep was the ship, they found the ship. And the third reason, the most important, if you live in your country a piece of wood in the Indian Ocean, after 20 years, nothing will be found because you have this kind of worm in the water that is eating. This water is brackish. We don't have this kind of animal, insects here. So these 3 reasons, they saved it. Also the experts, they told them, you have to protect now the ship because we're not going to have it forever because it's processing now. You see the body is creating some kind of, because with the humidity we bring, with the breathing and the clothes, they are, when it's raining, we bring a lot of humidity inside.
The main hall contains the ship itself and various exhibits related to the archaeological findings of the ship and early 16th century Sweden. Vasa has been fitted with the lower sections of all 3 masts, a new bowsprit, winter rigging, and has had certain parts that were missing or heavily damaged and replaced. The replacement parts have not been treated or painted and are therefore clearly visible against the original material that has been darkened after 3 centuries underwater. The museum is in the process of publishing a 8-volume archaeological report to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the salvage. Vasa 1, the archaeology of a Swedish warship of 1628 was published at the end of 2006. Subsequent volumes will be published annually.
And then was standing a person here. And on the ship, there are 4 crow's nests watching places. And at that time, they didn't have walkie-talkies or things like this. So he was up there shouting, and he was standing there, and the other one was standing here. And this is a very big piece of room that I will show you down there, turning the ship and taking the ship in.
The new museum is dominated by a large copper roof with stylized masts that represent the actual height of Vasa when she was fully rigged. Parts of the building are covered in wooden panels painted in dark red, blue, tar black, orche yellow, and dark green. The interior is similarly decorated with large sections of bare unpainted concrete, including the entire ceiling. Inside the museum, the ship can be seen from 6 levels, from her keel to the very top of the stern castle. Around the ship are numerous exhibits and models portraying the construction, sinking, location, and recovery of the ship. There are also exhibits that expand on the history of Sweden in the 17th century, providing background information for why the ship was built. A movie theater, also a film in alternating language on the recovery of the
Everybody likes it. Well, the names are fantasy, it's not, they didn't find the names who they were. But these people, they were alive. One is probably officer and the other one is sailor.
his face are The museum also features 4 other museum ships moored in the harbour outside: the icebreaker Sankt Erik and the light vessel Finnegradet and torpedo boat Spika and the rescue boat Bernhard Ingelsen. These are the actual skeletons, and whatever is recovered at the site of the wrecked ship. The portrait shows the sailors in the ship